conditions. We're on your side with how long you need the coat and when temperatures are expected to climb again.
And even though tomorrow is the shortest day of the year, we talk about when you can expect the days to start getting longer and explain the science behind the winter solstice.
Live on your side. First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
But first, check out this winter wonderland at the Brookfield Chicago Zoo. Snow fell and covered the pathway as visitors viewed the annual holiday light show. The show contains over 2 million LED lights, a 300-foot light tunnel, and more than 900 trees decorated by members from the community. But what a winter wonderland there.
That's beautiful. And we're just going to live vicariously through our friends in Chicago.
Well, you know what? We're feeling their chill here.
We are.
We'll put in a call. You can take some of this back if you want.
Yeah. We'll send it right back up to you guys in the upper Midwest. Canada even would be nice.
Yeah. Hey, a lot colder out there, Lauren. When you were doing the 4 here earlier this evening, I was out back and I was doing a video just showing on social media how cold it is here on Red Mountain because the back of the building faces the north wind. So it is so cold here when you have these fronts move in.
It is very cold. You know, we're on a mountain, so we're going to be a little bit higher up. We get that higher elevation. The mountains are going to be a little bit more ferocious and oftentimes a little bit more cold. All
right, well, listen, the wind's still a factor right now. Let's go to the next big thing. Get you ready for the weekend. And that little fireplace just looks nice and cozy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Here.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan for this weekend. Wind chills in the teens and 20s out there tomorrow morning. It's going to stay, I put windy tomorrow. Maybe it's not as gusty as tonight, but there is going to be enough of a breeze where if I was thinking maybe tomorrow I'm finally going to get out there, rake up some of those leaves, I'd probably wait until later on Sunday to do that because the wind's still a factor tomorrow. Hard freeze coming up Sunday morning. So tomorrow morning and Sunday morning we have freezing temperatures and we're still seeing rain out of all days on Christmas Day, and it looks like the chance for possibly some storms later next week. There's still a big question mark on that, but just something where I want to make sure you're paying close attention to the forecast throughout next week as we monitor for possibility of some stormy weather later, actually towards the end of the year. So AccuTrack right now, radar not showing any snow out there. I know we talked about maybe a couple of flurries possible. Still could happen over North Alabama, even though you don't see much precipitation. Sometimes you'll see a random flurry where we have some of those clouds to the north, but nothing major out there. The big story is the cold, and you can see that wind is still blasting in here from the north direction, and that's adding quite the chill. Already wind chills tumbling into the 20s, and actually by tomorrow morning, the wind chill still a factor. We could have readings down into the upper teens for some of the areas early tomorrow morning. But let's talk about the weekend forecast. And again, we'll start out in the morning around 29 degrees on average. Some areas a little bit colder. 46 degrees there for an afternoon high. It will be a sunny day. Again, just breezy as you can see. And then notice we dropped to 26. And Lauren mentioned this earlier. A very good point. The wind settles down tomorrow night. It's a clear sky. So we do see a big drop in temperatures, and we could see readings as low as 24, 25 degrees out there. So bottom line, hard freeze for some areas coming up this weekend. Remember those 4 Ps. Check on your friends, family, check on the pets, make sure they have a cozy spot tonight. And I'd go ahead and just place those faucet covers on with some of these colder temperatures, and plants, make sure they are protected. I know it's tempting to set those plants out to take in some of the milder weather, but make sure they are protected. We have some really cold weather coming up, but it's right on time because the first day of winter is only so many hours away. Meteorologist Matt Daniel joins us now with the science behind the winter solstice and when we can start seeing those days growing longer.
Wait, it's snowing right here in the studio, which means one and one only thing. Well, we're one day away until winter officially arrives. And that actually happens early tomorrow morning at 3:21. So if you're a big fan of winter, here we go. Of course, we have the planet Earth. We move around the sun. We are on a tilt, and that tilt of the Earth is what provides those seasons. So with the sun out there and the Earth and the way it's rotating, it's tilted away from the sun. So in the northern hemisphere, we're experiencing our shortest day and our longest nights. Of course, if you're in the southern hemisphere, for instance, South America, Africa, towards Australia, you're entering summer. So it's the opposite. So, you know, we always say dreaming of a white Christmas, but, you know, that's kind of weird if you live in the southern hemisphere, because if you're celebrating Christmas, you're in your summer months. So let's talk about winter, shall we? Tomorrow, sunrise at 6:47, sunset at 4:43. And when you talk about how much daylight we're seeing, usually on the first day of winter, that's the least amount of daylight we get. And then each day, we slowly get a little bit more sunlight getting extended. So we've got about 9 hours, about 55 minutes of sunlight going into your Saturday. Let's look ahead though, shall we? January 1st, we'll gain about 9 hours and 58 minutes. By February 1st, we're adding on to that. We're gaining probably 2 minutes of sunlight each and every day, averaging about 10 hours and 34 minutes. And by March 1st, as we're getting closer to spring, we're talking about 11 hours and 29 minutes. So I know a lot of you are not a big fan of those later sunrises and those early sunsets, but there is some hope. There is some improvement there. So just want to give you that first alert. So until then, enjoy winter for the next couple of months. I know this snowman doing a little disco, I guess, enjoying the thought that winter is here, but your days are numbered. I think we're about 90 days away until spring officially arrives, in case you're counting. Happy first day of winter, everyone.
You think that's Frosty? Is that Frosty the Snowman? Maybe so.
In his disco era.
Hey, Frosty knows how to move. All right, hey, shopping forecast tomorrow. If you're heading out 7 o'clock in the morning, still around freezing, but by lunchtime into the afternoon, still in the 40s. It's certainly a cold day. Notice the wind out of the north, so bundle up out there, prepare for another breezy day, but at least we'll have some sunshine helping out with those comfort levels. So a lot to talk about in our weather forecast. We'll have much more coming up right now. Let's go back to Lauren talking about something, well, to help those in need.
Yeah, Wes. Across the country now to western North Carolina, where thousands of children will have a better Christmas after losing everything from Helene. Valley Strong Disaster Relief teamed up with Toys for Tots to give out more than 50,000 toys. Some families in this area lost their homes and jobs and are still cleaning up the mess. One mom of 3 says she comes to this distribution site regularly to get home supplies and everyday needs. Now she has gifts for all 3 kids for Christmas.
Well, they all excited. Because it's some people out here who still won't have presents underneath the tree. It's still families out here mourning. I just feel like my kids should be happy waking up with a roof over their head, like the real meaning of Christmas.
Isn't that the truth? Well, the toy drive will last through the weekend, and the nonprofit says that they're hoping to help over 7,000 families. And in Wisconsin, children and adults clean up and play in the snow today after Thursday's winter storm. We first brought you this story yesterday as the system moved through, and as of today, close to 7 inches of snow fell in Green Bay, according to the National Weather Service. Another round of snow is forecast for Monday. Highs aren't forecast to get out of the 20s. Oh, good grief. Over the weekend, but are forecast to move into the mid-30s by Christmas Day. Well, we're certainly going to be a far cry from that. In 30 seconds, we'll tell you if snow will affect your travel plans as you get ready to head out for the holidays and bring you the latest on the Christmas happenings in our area this weekend.
And time for your first alert forecast for the overnight. And just to show you those temperatures out there tonight, we'll be taking a tumble down to around 29 on average. The wind speed tonight is going to stay elevated, so there will be a wind chill. Plan for that tomorrow morning, possibly down into the teens across parts of the area. And a chilly day, but a very seasonal feeling day. If you're heading out to the Chelsea Christmas Parade, it looks like we're in good shape here in Shelby County with that sunshine coming back by mid-morning. 40 degrees around 11 o'clock, north wind at 10. Looks like around lunchtime 42 degrees, but feeling a little bit cooler with that breeze, so bundle up if you're heading out to the parade. And also look out for Santa Claus, right, Lauren?
Yeah, Wes, we've been seeing Santa Claus a few times. I know where we've certainly seen Santa Claus this week. Tania had a run-in with him at Magic of Lights up in Bessemer at Alabama Adventure. Now, if you're going to Magic of Lights tonight, of course, bundle up. The whole point, the beauty of Magic of Lights, you don't even have to get out if you don't want to. You can stay in your car or go explore the Christmas Village. So obviously it's getting cold out there. We're going to be in the 30s here over the next few hours, possibly by 10 p.m., already getting close to freezing. But remember, the problem is the winds have been picking up. So we're already seeing wind chills in that freezing territory. Still going to be pretty windy with those clouds moving in, northwest winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. But we also have the Rock Run Christmas Parade tomorrow up in Piedmont. It will be chilly all day long. Remember, temperatures aren't going to get out in the 40s. And as always, if you're at those higher elevations in northeast Alabama, you really ain't going to be warming up too much, but plenty of sunshine once we get past the morning. But you may be actually traveling for the Christmas holidays. And if you're not staying here at home, we do want to give you a look. Of course, Wes was talking about that Chelsea Christmas parade, but what about that travel forecast? So let me pull it up for you right here so you can get a better idea of what we're looking at as we go closer to the holidays. So as we look ahead here to the holidays, as far as that travel forecast, we're going to be seeing the potential for temperatures to get really cold here over the next couple of days. And Wes, I think if we actually bring up the Engage computer, that should have it on there. There we go. So as far as that travel forecast, like I said, going to be cold. This is looking at tomorrow, and we're going to be dry. I did mention that chance of clouds, but if you've got to head up towards the northeast, there is going to be a departing system that could potentially be bringing a little bit in the way of snow. But as we get into your Sunday as well, we're seeing that clearing across the northeast with plenty of sunshine, temperatures on the chilly side, with highs potentially only getting into the teens, if not the 20s. In the northeast. New York is always pretty at Christmas time, though. Up in the upper Midwest, still got that cold air, that same air mass that we're dealing with on Sunday. But then if you're traveling to the Pacific Northwest, you see a system coming in off of the Atlantic. And here we are on Monday, staying dry here in the southeast. If you're headed down to Florida, there is the chance for some much warmer and some wetter weather, but staying dry in the northeast. You'll notice another system, though, developing around the Great Lakes. So if you've got to go somewhere like Michigan, Ohio, anywhere in that Great Lakes area, you could be dealing with some snow, possibly even some departing Minneapolis as well, up into the Rockies, seeing that potential for some wintry precipitation. And then another system moving into the Pacific Northwest for Tuesday as well, seeing the systems getting more active across the southeast. And then for Christmas Eve, we're still going to be staying on the dry side. But talking about that Christmas travel forecast, of course, weather isn't the only thing you need to make sure you check before heading out. Meteorologist Shanti Rodriguez had a chance to speak with our friends at AAA about how you should properly prepare for that drive or flight.
Preparing for the holidays means a lot of things, from decorating your home to spending quality time with family and friends. But the most important thing is making sure we get to our holiday destinations safely in the midst of what the weather could bring. Today, we're joined by Clay Ingram with AAA of Alabama as he brings those helpful tips. Clay, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
What can we do ahead of time to prepare for traveling during the holidays? Are there any extra steps that we should take when we're going to be on the road for a long time?
Yeah, you know, with over 119 million people traveling a distance of 50 miles or more for this Christmas holiday season, which is an all-time record, there are a lot of things that you need to do, and planning ahead is the key to all of those things. Getting your car checked out by a certified technician before you get on the road is always a great idea. They can check belts and hoses and your battery, your fluid levels, your tires are also very, very important, not only to keep them properly inflated, but to make sure you have the right amount of tread depth on there so that they will operate properly as well. And, you know, a lot of those things can put you on the side of the road. So if you can get those checked out ahead of time, it might at least possibly prevent you from having a breakdown along the way. And then padding your travel time schedule is always important because it's going to take a lot longer to get to your destination than it normally does. Anytime we have this volume of traffic, it moves much more slowly. You have frequent stop and go type situations. There are more crashes. So leaving early and padding that travel time schedule is crucial to kind of taking the stress out of the trip for you and helping you be a more consistent and safer driver as well.
Well, don't go anywhere. We talk more about the chance for rain on Christmas and take you beyond the atmosphere, where we're talking about space debris. We'll be right back with more First Alert Weather Extra.
I can do it. Yeah, I mean, I can. Shall I? Yes. Thanks for asking, because I would have forgotten.
Well, welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra and a happy Friday to you. Maybe you're kicking off your holiday break tonight and through next week. We are going to start it out cold here. We have a temperature down to 40. A live look from Jacksonville State University. There from the Houston Cole Library. Nice and all festive there. Saw some of the Christmas lights. Brookwood Baptist Medical Center 39 showing up now in Birmingham. That temperature is dropping in a hurry and the winds out of the north at 15 miles per hour on top of it. But throughout the weekend, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, if you need to wrap up holiday shopping, looks like over the next 4 days, in addition to wrapping presents, we are going to have weather that will cooperate. If you need to run some errands, dry weather is expected in Monday and Tuesday, but we will see some rain coming back for Christmas Day, and we'll show you that here in a few moments. But first off, we're not expecting any major precipitation. I know last night we talked about maybe some flurries across North Alabama. Still could see a few flurries where we have the clouds, maybe a random flurry north, but not much to measure or cause any issues. Certainly not seeing much at all right now. So tomorrow morning out the door, the big story, obviously, it's the cold and the breeze is still there. Maybe not as gusty early in the day if you're out around 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, but enough of a breeze to where there will be a wind chill with temperatures dropping into the 20s tonight. And then I just wanted to show you during the day what to expect. And you can see right 3 o'clock, only in the 40s. So it is going to be a cold day by 6 o'clock tomorrow night, back into the 30s. And actually tomorrow night, that temperature will drop in a hurry because the wind settles, a clear sky. And that means by Sunday morning, we could see low to mid 20s for overnight lows. So freezing temperatures, a big first alert for the freeze next couple of mornings. And then we warm up with some rain. When does that arrive? Well, Santa's going to bring us some rainfall. It's going to happen early Christmas morning, end of the day, a chance for some showers. I don't see just a total washout here throughout the entire day, but there will be some periods where we could have some occasional rainfall in the morning, perhaps into the afternoon. Not seeing a severe weather threat on Christmas Day, and in fact, as we look on down the road here, we're not seeing just a clear-cut risk for severe weather across our area. We're just seeing some signals, some of the models suggesting, as you can see here, some instability right there in that 29th through 31st time frame. So towards the end of the year, it's just a storm system that we need to pay attention to next week. We need to check the forecast just in case we see a risk for strong to severe storms. Just because, we're heading into the end of December, still a very active time of year for us with respect to severe weather, so we'll need to keep an eye on that. But there's a lot on this map here. Let me just go through it all. First off, winter arrives early tomorrow morning, and then you can see we have the cold during the morning. And then as we get to Monday and Tuesday, still dry. Now a 40% chance of rain on Christmas Day. And then notice how we warm up Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday, that following weekend there, the final weekend of the year, that's when we could have perhaps some scattered thunderstorms and some rainfall, because we know beyond that point, those temperatures are going to tumble again, and someone right now is going to help answer that question. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Lauren, you've been taking a look at not just the next 10 days, but on into January.
Yeah, and speaking of January, that's going to be 2025. Believe it or not, can you believe, oh my gosh, I just thought of it. We are almost a quarter of a way through this century. So just let that sink in. Let the wrinkles sink in too. So looking at the temperature outlook here, this is 8 to 14 days from now. So looking at December 28th through January 3rd. Check it out. All of the U.S. expected to see above average temperature. So cranking up that blowtorch before we round out the month. And that does include us here in Birmingham. But what I also want to show you is beyond the 7 days. Wes was mentioning into early 2025. So this is the outlook for January 4th through 17th. So we can just consider this the first half of January, right? And this is also from the Climate Prediction Center. And it does showcase that a good portion of the U.S., including us here in central Alabama, could be seen below average temperatures. So if we see a stormy, maybe more active pattern, that's where maybe we could see the possibility of having to watch for any wintry precipitation. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm just saying this is the type of pattern you would look for. Now it could be cold and dry, but at least for the end of the month when it's going to be warm, this is looking at 8 to 14 days from now, above average precipitation expected in central Alabama. And that's why we're noting, hey, if we're going to be warmer at the end of the month and have a more active pattern, that's when we could see the potential for maybe some storms in the forecast. Like Wes said, is there going to be severe weather? We don't know that yet. It's too far out. But what we will watch for are those signals. So make sure you're staying up to date through that First Alert weather app. And of course, we'll be giving you that first alert anytime we see something of note. Well, hey, Houston, we have 170 million problems. Dan Smith shows us how even the smallest of space debris can make a big impact in today's Moment of Science.
Space, the final frontier, is fraught with danger, and ever since we started launching things into orbit, that danger has often been of our own doing. Dr. Nilton Reno at the University of Michigan explains how space junk can threaten missions.
They are going at low Earth orbit order of 10 kilometers per second, so it's much faster than a rifle bullet, for example. Therefore, a small millimeter-sized debris colliding with a spacecraft can destroy that spacecraft.
While the danger from physical impact is impressive in its own right, it's not the only concern.
Electromagnetic pulse that's caused by the collision can damage the sensitive electronics in the spacecraft.
In low Earth orbit, within about 2,000 kilometers, man-made objects like spent rocket boosters and shattered satellites dominate the debris field. Higher than that, meteoroids are the big concern, natural but moving even faster to threaten space travel.
Michigan has a 6.5-meter telescope in Chile, part of it, and then you can look up just reflection of sunlight, and we can detect debris, so 10 centimeters.
10 centimeters is about the size of a softball, and that thing moving at low Earth orbit speeds packs about as much energy as a city bus on the highway. NASA's had its fair share of run-ins and near misses, with debris damaging the International Space Station's famed Canadarm in 2021, and earlier in 2024, astronauts had to shelter in place after an old Russian satellite broke apart. Dr. Reno and his fellow Wolverines have been developing a method to track debris down to millimeter size using some tech we've already had for decades.
NASA has those big antennas to communicate with spacecraft in deep space, and they are very powerful. You beam a very strong radar wave, and then you measure the reflectance with another big antenna.
It's a little different than this example, since you need the transmitter and receiver to be in different places. Dr. Reno hypothesized we could fine-tune collision tracking thanks to those electromagnetic pulses they put out, and in some cases temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun. Good thing, too, since the vast majority of the 170 million pieces of debris can't be found by current means. It turns out those impacts are likely happening at least once every 10 seconds somewhere in orbit.
And if you include meteoroids too, it's one every second. Every second, two debris are colliding, larger than 10 microns in diameter.
More lab testing is needed before their model is ready for prime time, but Dr. Reno hopes their tracking can help with evasive maneuvers and mitigation.
What excites me most is the puzzle, solving this puzzle. Being able to help the space community is it's rewarding.
For this week's Moment of Science, I'm Dan Smith.